Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, the 30th of June. Let's go look at the calendar. So we have no news today. No high impact, medium impact, nothing. So it could be a slow day in the market. Last week, at the end of the week, we saw the GBPUSD started retracing, breaking market structure on the medium time frames. On the 1 hour, we broke market structure and are now pushing downwards, meaning that the dollar is currently regaining some strength. So let's take a look at what is happening on the charts. Okay, so we have broken market structure on the 1 hour, like I said. The 4 hour is my recent high as of right now, and this would be my recent low. And as it seems right now, we have broken this low. Now, as of right now, the 4 hour is not bearish, but we could go into a retracement phase. The retracement phase could also have ended already, and this could have been the entire retracement, which is possible. It does happen sometimes. But as you can see, we did break market structure here last week. We did retest it by near the end of the week. We retested it here, and yeah, ever since we've been pushing up. So we'll see what happens. But fundamentally and technically, it does seem like the dollar should be regaining some value, meaning GBPUSD should be pushing down. So naturally, I would want to look for shorts, but if the decision comes on whether I should take a short or a long, but a long setup is there, naturally I should be taking the long setup. Without a doubt, without any hesitation, the long setup is what I'll need to be taking. And going on that, I actually do want to talk about something that I posted earlier this morning about choices. Let me switch over to my X channel. I posted this. You have choices in life. Will you wake up early or sleep in? Will you pray or watch TikTok? Will you be hygienic and shower? Will you look at the news calendar? Will you just hope? Will you execute what your strategy says, or will you be a caveman? Everything is a choice. You are smart enough to know the difference between right and wrong. Use that knowledge to have a good trading week. So what this means is, you have a lot of choices because, for example, I just made a choice by going onto the news calendar. Looking at the news calendar, seeing what types of news we have. I went onto the charts and I had a choice. Which time frame do I want to use? Where do I want to mark up my recent highs and lows? And when I go to the 1 hour, where do I want to mark up my recent low and my recent high? Now, as of right now, we don't have a recent high. This would be my recent high, which is same as the 4 hour recent high. It's choices. But the thing is, my strategy says to mark up the recent 4 hour high and low, the recent 1 hour high and low, observe the price action on the 15-minute, wait for price to reach either the recent high and low, drop down to the 5-minute for my entry, and take the position. So it's a choice, My strategy says I need to be doing this, but it still remains a choice, whether I want to be short biased today, because I see that the dollar is regaining some strength. I could use that information and be short biased and only wait for short positions to play out, take a short position and just go based off of that. But the problem is, my strategy says I never need to be biased. There's no reason for me to be biased. And not only that, bias is a bad thing, because I could be short biased and within the next 2 hours we start climbing up and we break this high and I take a long position, and or should take a long position, but I never end up taking it because I was short biased the entire day. So, you know, we play out, we push up all the way, you know, would have taken out a nice trade, made some nice profits, and, you know, had a good day, had a good Monday. But instead, I was short biased, and what had happened was I was waiting for price to close below this level, and it never happened. I just kept waiting and waiting for something that doesn't happen because I'm biased, which is why I say bias is a bad thing. And but the point is, it still remains a choice. So we still have choices, but everyone knows, like I said here, you know, you are smart enough to know the difference between right and wrong choice. So whether I want to be biased on shorts or biased on longs, that's a choice. But what does my strategy say I need to be doing, you know? Mine says to mark up the recent 4-hour high and low, the recent 1-hour high and low. What is the direction? You know, find the directions. The 4 hours bullish, possibly going into a retracement phase. So that indicates to me, all right, I can take shorts and I can take longs, because if I take shorts, that means I'm taking the retracement. If I take longs, I'm taking the continuation. On the 1 hour, we have broken market structure, and right now, we're pushing up towards the highs. I marked up my recent high and my recent low. I'll wait for either one of them to be broken. So if this low gets broken, I will not take my position yet, because this is the recent low on the 4 hour. Now the problem is, if I do take this, we could push down and create equal lows. So what I'm looking for instead is I'm waiting for price to close below these 4 hour lows, because what that will do for me is it will give me a higher probability trade when trading the retracement, you know, instead of just trading like a lower time frame retracement. So that confirms my analysis on trading the retracement, instead of, you know, because if I wait for this, I trade that breakout, you know, it would only be this one candle. So it doesn't really prove whether I'm trading a retracement or not. It is possible, because if you look at the market structure, I mean, that's like basic trading, you know. But still, I would rather wait for this low to be broken, because that is what will give me the higher probability trade. The reason why I still mark up my recent 1 hour high and low is because my strategy said I need to, you know. Whether I'm going to use it or not, I will still mark it up every day, whether I'm going to use it or not, because it helps me with my analysis, you know, seeing what's happening clear. And yeah, so I'll keep doing it. And like I said, it remains choice whether I want to or not. But, you know, will I make the right choice? You know, the choice my strategy said I need to make, or will I make a choice on my own? That's the question there. But for now, just a quick recap. I'm gonna take a long position if we close above this level. I'm gonna take a short position if we close below this level. That's about it.